Call of Duty and Infinity Ward made a decision that we were the ones, our passion, our unbreakable will to compete on this game that we love was actually making the game worse. When clearly that is absolutely not the case. It made people want to play it every single day because they can see incremental improvement every single time they log on. And that's a good thing. That fosters longevity with your game. That fosters a community that actually cares about your game. And Infinity Ward looked at the Call of Duty community who cares more about this game than anybody and said, F you. They did.
Welcome back to another deep dive where I go over anything and everything FPS related, whether that's Call of Duty, Destiny, X-Defiant, or anything that I'm just kind of interested in and feel like I want to share to you guys. So let's find out what we're diving into now, shall we? If you are not subscribed to the 100 Thieves YouTube channel, then honestly you're missing out. And truthfully, I tune in on every Tuesday to make sure that I catch up on Joe and Nate Shot's little chit chat. Their podcast is really laid back and I just enjoy that style of conversation. And on this podcast, Nate Shot went off on Infinity Ward like him and Joe Seacott were just chilling in a Modern Warfare 2 lobby. It was fantastic.
Sledgehammer is dropping the hammer on Infinity Ward Treyarch. Okay? What I mean by that, actually, I'm going to keep Treyarch out of this. Really, Infinity Ward. Infinity Ward came in again with Warzone 2 and Modern Warfare 2, and they wanted to make a game that was going to stand alone by itself, and they changed a lot of core mechanics of the game that nobody asked to change. They made the game easier for casuals. They tried to encourage camping. They put bubble wrap on all the players. And that's what these studios do.
When I first heard this, I swear my arms literally went up and I literally mimicked Charlie's "Woo, baby." That's what we're talking about.
Woo! Yeah, baby! That's what I've been waiting for. That's what it's all about. Woo!
And I mean, Nate Shot pretty much summed up the feeling of anyone who plays Call of Duty with a competitive bone, even a small one, the slightest competitive bone in their body. And I mean, Sledgehammer isn't a perfect studio, but I have nothing but respect for them. Their World War II game at launch was, well, shit. But on the fly, they turned it into a pretty good game by the end of its life cycle, and arguably the same could be said about Vanguard. At launch, we all know that game was terrible, but with about 3 to 4 months left in its life cycle, it was actually in a really good spot. And I can't help but think of that saying, you really don't appreciate a good thing until it's gone. And with that said, I really am appreciating Vanguard and Warzone. But with that said, I think we could all agree that Fortune's Keep deserved longer than 4 months to be a playable map before it was taken away from us.
Call of Duty is the same every single year, but then they tune some things or change some things so that their game can stand alone against all the others from the other studios. Be like, this is our Call of Duty, which I get why they do that. Like, if I was a studio head, like, I don't want to do the same exact thing. Well, maybe you shouldn't have got into the business of making Call of Duty. Like, Infinity Ward is not the same company that it was when it started. So you come in the second half and all of a sudden you're trying to cement your own legacy. Like, hey, give us the fucking red dots back, dude. Nobody asked you to change that. Like, a core mechanic of Call of Duty that has existed since the dawn of fucking time. Somebody shoots without a silencer, you fucking see it on your mini-map. Red dot. I would say the mini-map was actually more important than like 90% of the other core mechanics of Call of Duty. They remove it some time ago. I think it was like Modern Warfare 2019. They get rid of fucking dead silence as a perk. All of a sudden, I got 30 attachments. I'm building a goddamn Death Star with my Legos, trying to figure out what needs to be on my gun. I'm watching YouTube fucking tutorials. Brother.
You gotta level up other guns to unlock fucking attachments for the gun you want to use.
Oh,
like,
you want the extended mag for your MP7? Well, go get 100 headshots with that LMG, you piece of shit. Like, what? Brother, they must have just sat in a conference room and just started throwing darts at pieces of paper on them. And that's how they made decisions.
They're really jerking themselves off on this one.
And I think it was at this point Infinity Ward really knew that they fucked up. You gotta respect Nate Shot here, because you could tell he was holding back, but he was still corporate and composed enough to try to rationalize with the idea of where Infinity Ward was coming from. You know, they want to be able to stand out in the crowd. But when you go so far against the grain that you're doing more damage to the brand than good, then maybe this isn't the right crowd for you. The crowd being Call of Duty. Maybe you should try working on some other games. I hear Battlefield 2042 needs help, or Shadowline needs some help. And I want to comment on the minimap, but I'm going to wait because Nadeshot isn't done bitching about that one just yet.
Sledgehammer in this Modern Warfare 3 teaser, I don't have the post right in front of me. We should find it. But red dot's back on the mini-map. Ninja, aka Dead Silence, will now be a perk. What else was there?
Reload cancel returns, slide cancel returns. Perks will be gear.
They're basically taking all the things that people loved from like the original Warzone and the core sweaty mechanics from core Call of Duty, and they're bringing it back. Like, this is the best thing that they could ever do.
Yeah.
This is literally, I am shocked that a Call of Duty studio like Sledgehammer, who, you know, took a lot of flack. They've had a lot of changes in leadership as well. But AW, I think, was better than what we remember.
And for me, it's so funny to see that people who are most likely to be in the know on what's going on within the game have no clue on what's going on within the game. Nadeshot, a guy who owns a CDO franchise team, has literally come to the conclusion that the Roger Goodells over at Call of Duty, over at Infinity Ward, are literally throwing darts at boards and making decisions that way. And you know, the sad thing is you really can't argue against it. Because if we look at Infinity Ward's recent track record with Modern Warfare 2019 and then Modern Warfare 2, they pretty much have done the opposite of whatever the community has asked. And I think Joe puts it the best here, where he's just saying they're really jerking themselves off at this one.
They're giving the community everything, at least the hardcore, like, competitive players, giving us everything that we've been asking for.
The move to casual Call of Duty was just so infuriating. It's like, if I want to like play a casual game, like I'll go play fucking Farmville, or I'll go like rip dungeons and, well,
That's not the problem, man. The problem is that throughout the lifespan of a game, like Call of Duty is the perfect example. Maybe the only example. The game was made for casual players. But when you make a game that people love, they are going to do everything they can. I mean, it's like pinnacle of human innovation in the Call of Duty community. They will make a game that they love competitive by any means necessary. So even before we had pregame lobbies and all these settings that we can change for search and destroy and hardpoint and capture the flag, we just played what we had and we made it work. So then David Vonderhaar and Traer come in, and all of a sudden they start adding a couple layers to the software on the back end so that we can have pregame lobbies, so we can change the timer on the bomb, so we can have competitive, a basketball court for us to go play on. And the game just get more and more competitive, and Call of Duty and Infinity Ward made the decision that we were the ones, our passion, our unbreakable will to compete on this game that we love was actually making the game worse. When clearly that is absolutely not the case. I mean, Warzone 1 and the movement and the clips that I would see, it's hard because there's blurred lines when you talk about Warzone and core Call of Duty multiplayer, but it created a skill gap. If you're a casual player, I would see people complain about it all the time, like the slide canceling and instant reloads and the movement, this shouldn't be possible. But guess what? It made people want to play it every single day because they can see incremental improvement every single time they log on. And that's a good thing. That fosters longevity with your game. That fosters a community that actually cares about your game.
Yeah.
And Infinity Ward looked at the Call of Duty community who cares more about this game than anybody and said, fuck you. They did.
Yeah.
Now, I do have to say, shout out to Joe for laying everything out on all the rumored stuff that's coming out, because I totally forgot about perks coming back as gear. I mean, this is rumored, just rumored. This means that possibly boots can give you something like double time or ninja. Gloves could give you sleight of hand, maybe scavenger. A vest could give you overkill or maybe engineer. And while your helmet can give you something like high alert or maybe forward intel. And personally, this is the kind of changes that I would be more welcome to see, because at least we keep all the stuff we're asking for. We get the ninja, we get the red dots, we get all the little things, and it makes sense on how they're being implemented. Now, I really don't want to praise a studio for bringing things like side canceling back or reload canceling back, because those are fundamental things that should never have left Call of Duty, as well as red dots. But I will say we have to give firm handshakes to Sledgehammer for bringing those things back, because they should have never have left. Now, really, I think at the end of this, Nadeshot speaks to what it is to be human, which is having that will to win, wanting the urge to win, and wanting the urge of competition and seeing the satisfaction of progression. Because I can't think of a single person who doesn't get some level of satisfaction from seeing progress, something they're consistently putting time into. And I think Nadeshot's right here, and Joe is definitely speaking towards the Sweat Lord, where it's not the casuals that ruin Call of Duty. I mean, that is not the actual problem. It's the beliefs and the behaviors at the studio that has led to this. The belief that the competitive nature within gaming is the the bad within gaming, that in itself is bad. Competitiveness in gaming, esports, bad. So then they make decisions based around that are anti-competitive. And because of their belief that competitiveness in gaming is what's wrong with gaming, but it's not. Competitiveness is what it is to be human. It is literally the essence of it. And it doesn't matter what it is. If you're a human, you're bound to make whatever you're doing competitive, and you're gonna want to win.
Brother, I've talked about this a million times on this podcast, but I'll say it one last time. I understand if you're in each other's shoes why they did the things that they don't want to be held hostage by a small portion of the community. But guess what? Like the top 1% are usually the people you need to talk about that are playing your game to make informed decisions about how to make the game better.
And it trickles down from them.
So they leaned in one way when they should have went the other. And Sledgehammer basically just said, fuck you, Infinity Ward. We're going to give it all back. And we're going to do it right. And hopefully it is right.
When I heard Nate Shot say this again, I just say, hallelujah. I needed somebody to say that, because I can't tell you how many times I've been playing Valorant and I'm looking at the top left corner of my screen and I die because I'm just constantly staring at that damn minimap. But back to Call of Duty, it's still crazy to me that somehow, some way, they messed up the minimap so damn much so that up until this most recent update, it didn't matter if you had a suppressed gun or an unsilenced gun or whatever, you wouldn't show up on the minimap just because you fired your gun. To me, that is just whack. That doesn't even sound right coming out of my mouth. But this is where we're going to wrap up today's video. If you liked it, you found anything insightful, please like and subscribe. We are on our way to 500 subscribers, and I truly feel every subscribe at this point. Please, we are doing the damn thing. And if you're already a part of this community, you're already part of the kingdom, then share this with a friend who wants to stay caught up in the gaming, esports, and the surrounding scene. And as always, I challenge you guys, make somebody laugh today, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.